Hi everyone, Ainsley here from Small Fry Creations. Today I'm going to show you how to make this desk and mirror with Hollywood lights. This project, with the exception of the drawers, was made from one sheet of 17mm plywood. I can't get a full sheet home in the car, so the lovely people at the plywood supplier cut it down into 3 pieces. The first thing I did was label the 3 pieces of plywood with what pieces I would cut from them so that I didn't get confused and use the wrong piece. I will leave a cut list below for you in the description. A little tip for you, always cut the pieces as you need them and take measurements in the shop as you go. Nothing worse than cutting all your pieces to find you're a couple of mil out at the end. The first pieces I cut was the top and 2 sides of the desk. The sides measure 800mm high by 450mm deep, and the top was 700mm wide by 450 deep. When cutting plywood, it is best that you put some painter's tape down where you're going to cut. This will help prevent tear out. My table saw is not big enough to make some of these cuts, so I used my doorboard jig when cutting the sides, and I doubled the workpiece up to ensure they came out at the same length. With the 3 pieces cut, I could glue and screw them together. I used pocket holes to join the pieces. Pocket holes are great for this type of project as they are easy to use and will be hidden. I then cut the back piece and again used pocket holes to screw this into place. You want to put the pocket holes facing into the workpiece as the drawers will hide them and no one will see them. I then cut and screwed in the lower support at the back of the desk. I put the pocket holes facing out as the desk will be up against the wall and filled the pocket holes with dowels. I then measured and cut the middle support under the desk. This will not only act as support but also as the divider for the 2 drawers that I will put in later. With the desk assembly done, I could move to the drawers. Now there are 101 ways to make a drawer. For this project, I made a simple box with a plywood bottom. This gave me the most depth. I used pocket holes to join the drawer together and made sure that the pocket holes were on the front and back pieces as these will be hidden by the drawer front and the back of the desk. I made one drawer 100mm shorter than the other as I would be installing a power inlet later on to power the lights. Be sure to purchase your drawer slides before making your drawer and follow the instructions on how much room you need to leave for the slides. I needed to leave 25mm in total for mine. I assembled the drawers and fitted them to the desk to ensure they were correct. With the drawers still in the desk, I cut the drawer fronts to length. I put a chamfer on the bottom of the drawers to make the drawer easier to open. I then got every level I had in the shop and put the drawer fronts in place. The drawer front sits flush to the top of the desk and to the side and has about a 10mm gap between each drawer front in the middle. With everything level, I could screw the drawer front into place. With the desk and drawer assembly complete, I could turn my attention to the mirror and light section. The light box for the mirror is 700mm by 700mm square. First off, I measured out where the mirror would sit and then where I wanted the lights to be. I also had to allow enough space at the bottom for the light switch. All my wiring will be completed by a licensed electrician. I just needed to have everything in place for them to do the wiring part. With my holes marked where I needed to cut, I could use a hole saw to cut these holes out. A tip when using a hole saw, drill halfway through from one side and then flip the piece over and complete the hole. This will help with tear out and give you a clean cut. Also, if you have a cheap hole saw like I do, then getting the pieces out can be a nightmare. Be aware the hole saw gets extremely hot when you are cutting, and if you have to pull it apart after each cut, then use a rag or a towel to handle it so you don't burn yourself. Don't ask me how I know this, just trust me. After I cut all the holes out, I can then use a mixture of a Forstner bit, chisel and a jigsaw to make the hole for the light switch to fit into. I could then cut the sides and the tops of the box. I made my box 80mm deep. This will allow enough room for the back of the light, the power inlet and the light switch. I again used pocket holes to join all these pieces together. I then used some leftover plywood to put these spacer blocks in. This will allow the baton holder to sit nicely in the hole and not stick out too far at the front. I just pre-drilled the holes and screwed them into place. I could then put the baton holders into place to make sure they didn't move. Mine were fairly stuck, but if there was any that would move a little, you can always place a screw in the back of the baton holder and screw it into the block piece. I could then pre-drill and fit the light switch. When it comes to the back piece, you just want to screw it into place. Don't use any glue, as you want to be able to remove this later and into the future if you need to get to the wiring of the lights. With everything test fitted, I could pull it all apart again and start the long job of sanding. I sanded everything up to 120 grit and used wood putty to putty up any of the gaps. I could then apply undercoat and 2 top coats. The desk is painted Dulux white on white and the light box is sprayed with Rust-Oleum rose gold. Once everything was dried, I could glue the mirror into place. For this, I used an adhesive that is made for mirrors. I could then hand the piece over to the Sparky to do the wiring. When it comes to light selection for your makeup mirror, it's totally up to you. I must have tested 10 light bulbs before landing on these from IKEA. I found these gave the best natural light and they are dimmable, so you'll have flexibility when they're being used. Thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to hit those subscribe and like buttons so you don't miss out on my next video.